All right. Hello, world. We have the one and only Ohster here.
Hello.
That's right. This is our first episode of the Groove Room, and let's get on with it.
All right.
So, my first question for you is, who are some of your musical influences?
Well, if it's not obvious enough, the Strokes for sure, right here on the shirt. I'm a big fan of them. I got into them around 2020 when they released their latest album, and I just went back through all their discography, and almost everything they put out is like just amazing to me. I just love it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And
Do you have any other musical influences?
I was gonna say Steve Lacy is a big one of mine as well. And just honestly, a lot of artists have big influence on me. Joji, he gave me a lot of influence in the start, more so. Like once I realized he was making music, I'm like, oh, music's actually pretty cool. I can make that too. You know?
Aside from being a YouTuber, he
right.
made. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
That's cool though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was kind of like a natural progression sort of thing where I was like, yeah.
I see. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Out of those, who would you most like to collaborate with?
That's a really tough one. I'd have to narrow it down to, I think I'd probably be the Strokes, because as much as I'd like to collaborate with like Steve Lacy or something, I feel like collaborating with the Strokes would just be like a dream come true, because I feel like just being in that environment with them would be so amazing. Or like Julian Casablancas, the singer, like just being with him, because he has so many good musical ideas. I think it would be really cool to bounce ideas off him.
So he's worked with so many people too, like Daft Punk is one of them.
Oh yeah, that song with Daft Punk is so
especially
good.
Since it's a band itself, So I feel like you'd sing alongside much better.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Definitely.
What inspires you and motivates you to make music?
I think the feeling that music gives me, like when I'm listening to good music that I love and it like hits me, and I'll just be listening and I'm like, wow, like it gives me this existential sort of, in a good way though, like feeling of just emotion, and I feel like I want to create that feeling for other people. I want people to hear stuff. I want to make like genuine stuff that people hear and like can connect with.
And
that,
you have. I'm one of
them,
it.
Oh yeah. Appreciate it.
One of your biggest fans. That's
Thank you, man.
But all right. So, what songs are you most proud of, like music-wise, lyric-wise?
Well, okay. I think my favorite that I've done at the current moment is probably Ford Belt, just because what it is. It's like, I don't know. I made that song and I was like, okay, this is like the stuff I want to do, because I was struggling with like an area where I didn't really know what I was doing. And then I made Ford Belt, and then the rest of that EP just kind of came together. And I just really like that one. The mixing's pretty good.
It's the opener off the EP too.
I felt like that was just like a new step for me in the right direction for both like mixing and also just musical like integrity, like a different sound. But I guess if I had to go by like mixing, my latest song, Passing By, and the one coming out pretty soon on Tuesday, Mecha. My new stuff, I'm focusing more on keeping the mixing like on a more professional level, because my mixing in the past has been pretty all right.
But still, the fact that you put your music out there and
I feel like it's really cool looking back and seeing like my first album compared to like my new stuff, and hearing like how much I didn't know what I was doing back then, but you can still find like some quality in it compared to like my new stuff where I know what I'm doing more than I did before. It's really interesting stuff. Yeah,
it's beautiful stuff, man. And like I mentioned in the past, like each song we put out there, each project we put out there, we always improve,
Oh, absolutely.
That's right.
And it's astounding to me how even after like releases where I've been like, this is the best, it's not going to get better than this, like in my head, and then I release another one and I look back on the old one, I'm like, damn, I did not know what I was doing. Yeah, it got better.
That brings me to my next question. What is your songwriting process? Lyrics first, music first?
I typically go with music first, because I just find it easier to write lyrics when I have like I can hear the lyrics coming out.
Let alone the melody.
The melody, yeah. The melody, the chord progression. Chord progression is key to me. It's usually the first thing I do with a song, because I just have to have, like, it needs to sound different than my other stuff before I move forward with it,
Yeah, because
I think that's what I strive with each song is I need a solid, like, a solid sound compared to the other songs. They can't sound the same, you know.
Because there's some artists that struggle with writing the same chord progression again.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing wrong with that, but
Yeah, and sometimes it's cool, like if a artist reuses it and like sort of sneaks it into songs, but more as like a little like secret for fans who are really listening. They can hear.
That's right. Yeah. In different melody, obviously, all the time.
Oh yeah.
That's right. What I noticed actually, this is kind of off the thing, but in your music, you always incorporate like it's a major to like. I don't know. You just like those minor chords.
I do. I really like that sort of like. I don't really know because I'm not super like well versed in like the language of
Neither
music.
were the Beatles.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Look at them.
Exactly. There you go. But I do know what I like when it comes to chord progressions, and I do notice sometimes listening to my songs, I'm like, this kind of has the same like chord progression, just in a different key than one of my other songs.
But you're like, who cares? You know, it's music.
People other than like you haven't noticed, so it's fine for now.
That's right.
Until this goes down.
Until they know. Have you dealt with writer's block in the past?
Oh, absolutely. I deal with it. I'm kind of dealing with it right now, not in a sense of writing, but like coming up with original like chord progressions, because I'm trying to work on new stuff, you know, I'm always trying to work on new stuff when I'm, you know, I'm not always every second, but, you know, I always have something running in the background, and I'm like, okay, that's the project I'm working on right now.
I see.
And
Alessandro, we're recording. It's okay. It's okay.
It's cool.
But yeah.
How
do you deal with it?
I kind of just wait until it kind of comes back. Or what I did when I was working on Ford Belt is before I came up with what Ford Belt was, it was an entirely different EP. I actually scrapped some songs. I have some songs that I just haven't released because I just dropped them. They
not
weren't
enough potential.
Yeah, and it's not, maybe not enough potential. They just sounded like weird, and I was like, I don't think people would get it if I put it out. Like I was some real weird experimental stuff that I was like,
that's like Ohster in the future.
Oh yeah, someday. Yeah. I'll drop them someday. But definitely new artists, listening to more music, getting different inspirations helps me find new sounds and get through the block, you know.
I see. Yeah. That's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah.
All right. And that brought me to my next question. What are you working on musically right now? And you said every month you're gonna drop
that's my new thing. I decided, because I was on the fence about it. I don't really know how I feel about like releasing singles. Sometimes I do it once in a while, but I feel like just because of the block that I'm sort of in right now, and I have like 5 songs done, I'm gonna drop them through the months, and then hopefully by the time I'm done, I'll have more songs I can put out. And if I don't, then I was just lying, and I'm not going to put them out the rest of the year, and we'll see, you know?
You'll do the little thing in Men in Black where
exactly.
their memory is erased, obviously.
People will figure it out.
Obviously, yeah. All right. You don't have to answer these. A few questions regarding the songs and their meanings.
Okay.
So, Ford Belt, Streetlights, and Eye to Eye. Are they about the same person?
Okay, I need to think about... I think Ford Belt, honestly, wasn't really written about anyone in particular. Actually, it was. Ford Belt, the EP, is more of like sort of a breakup EP, because
really,
I was kind of going through it, and the emotion that's what helps me a lot with writer's block. Actually, going back to that is emotion. When I'm going through something, I make the best music I ever make.
Inspiration.
Like, it gives me the fuel to make stuff. You said so. Ford Belt was about sort of like a breakup. The whole thing, sort of. There's sort of like not a story, but like an arc to it, I guess, sort of, with like Move On being the last one, moving on, you know. And
the other two were Streetlights and Eye to Eye.
Streetlights and Eye to Eye actually sort of are written about the same person. It's more just like frustration with, I don't really want to like, you know, get specific or anything, but just sort of frustration with a certain person. You know, sometimes you get frustrated with, you know, family members or people in your life, and you just
that's what I kind of put here. Like, you leave it to the listener's interpretation of the song.
The song is more of like letting it out without being too specific, so people can enjoy it and like, you know, hear that there's some meaning behind it, but also just I want people to hear it for what they want to hear it as, you know.
Yeah. And all 3 of those songs are bangers.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah. Those are some of my favorites for sure.
And I'm guessing Best Friend is about Jordan, your friend.
Best Friend, actually, yeah. The drum kit part at the beginning.
That's him
playing on the
that's
drums.
Him.
That was one of the first songs I was like, okay, I can actually kind of
That's the one that like started off. That was where you began.
That was pretty much because I did some stuff on SoundCloud beforehand.
That was Lotus Land, right?
Yeah, Lotus Land, yeah. And what do you call it? I there's actually earlier mixes of those songs on SoundCloud. Some of them I like better because I kind of just changed them at the end.
I love the final product. I love to give those a listen though.
Yeah.
That's cool. What do you do with your free time outside of music?
So my free time, I mean, I play a lot of video games. I'm really into just, I don't know, video games and media. Just, I don't know. I'm a slave to the media world.
Or even the comic books you've written in the past too.
Yeah, certain like writing stories and stuff. I like when I'm not doing something that's just completely useless, like playing games and stuff. I'm making something. I love making like, I don't know, coming up with concepts.
Just putting yourself out there.
Yeah, exactly.
For the future,
Like I'm doing trying out voice acting recently with some some fan dub projects they're dubbing over some like manga, like some JoJo manga that's coming out.
Oh, that's badass.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And I've been doing some voice acting because it's been, I don't know, just trying
out
new things.
With other things. That's beautiful.
One of them might lead somewhere someday.
Yeah, you know, if it's not music, then it's this.
Exactly. As long as I'm being creative, I'm happy. So
that's right.
That's
looking back on this when you're in your 50s, dude.
Oh yeah, no, this
having to put all your stuff out
being able to. That's what I like the most is I'm gonna be able to look back on all like the music I've made since I was, since I was 12, because that's when I started really like.
And being 17 now.
Being 17, being able to look back, it's already crazy. So I can only imagine like 20 years from now.
A lot's gonna change.
I'm gonna be like, wow.
Yeah. And to finish this out, what advice do you have for aspiring musicians?
I think if I have any advice, it's probably be yourself and make the music that you want to make. Be original, but also take inspiration. You know, I don't know. I don't really have any like astounding, life-changing advice, you know, but I feel like just do what you want to do and put yourself out there and, you know, listen to criticisms, but overall do what you want to do more than what people say you should do, because that's how you'll find your own alley in things, you know.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and look at how far you become too, dude. Like,
thank you, man.
What better advice to get that from them?
Thank you, bro. Appreciate that. Appreciate that.
Right. Well, that concludes our interview with Ohster, and we'll catch you later.
See you later.